Okay, mis medicina ultimia here. It is a wintry day in Denver. Oftentimes we have early snows, and this was our first, so it's September 9th, 2020. Weird year. Apocalyptic fire is happening, early snow is happening. It's intense. So, Wednesday Wellness WHOLEistic Platica 3-dub play here to just hold space for us to understand a little bit more about our bodies in a holistic way, about our propensities, about our constitutions. We say constitution in Chinese medicine, and what that means is kind of what we were born, what we come with, what we were born with. And different people are different ways. Like some people, like myself, I'm a very loud and vivacious, and I get really easily excited. They would call me a fire type, but I'm also gentle and earthy at times, and I want to like nourish people, so that would be more of an earth type, right? So I'm like both fire and earth, and then there's water and wood and metal in there as well, and different people come with different constitutional propensities. So our constitution depends on a lot of different things, a lot of different factors, but a lot about what the environment was like when you were conceived and what your gestational environment was like upon your growth into humanity. So whenever dealing with ourselves holistically, we need to understand how we came and who we are and why we are. Yes. So that's one thing. You know best who you are and how you are and why you are. And part of my mission here is to remind you that you know best and give you some tools to work with what you know about yourself so that you can heal yourself. So one of the things I want to talk about because of the fires and because of our wintry day here is the seasons. So in Chinese medicine, pathology comes in many different forms, and one of the ways pathology comes is through the seasons. So in the summertime, it's easy to get heat, okay? Heat can be a pathogen, is a pathogen, shows up as a pathogen. Some of the signs of heat are going to be feeling hot, being hot, swollen, sticky is dampness, swollen, hot, painful, red. Okay, those are the things we look for, like with inflammation, are signs of heat. Okay, then in winter you get cold. That's feeling cold, blue face, blue hands, stuckness, stagnation because cold freezes, and things like that. And so some signs of cold in the body are going to be disturbed digestive, not your digestion just isn't moving. That can also be a sign of heat. It just depends on the symptoms. Menstrual pain, menstrual harshness, stuckness is a sign of cold. Yes, cold, feeling like liquid in the body, cold liquid. Sometimes if we have digestive issues, we can literally touch in our stomachs and feel cold. Then there's dampness. Dampness is sticky and oozy, and you sweat easily. You kind of always have a stickiness around your body. Dampness can cause stinky things like stinky farts and stinky feet. Dampness is a thing. Then dryness is a thing. Okay, dandruff is a dry thing. Skin patches, not enough body fluid, so dry vagina you might have. Just scaly skin, feeling dry. Okay, and that's a fall thing into a winter thing. And then there's also summer heat, which is a whole other kind of heat according to Chinese medicine. So we have to look at our seasons, where we're at, and be in accordance with them so that we can protect ourselves from the elements. So something I grew up listening to and my mother talking about respecting the elements, right? Like, don't be a fool and be out in the winter with shorts and chanclas on. It's not going to work for you. You're going to get sick that way. And that's ancestral medicine. That's ancestral wisdom. In this modern society, we get super desensitized from what is actually happening in the cosmos, what is actually happening in the weather patterns, what's actually happening outside. The reasons the fires are blazing right now in California is because when the colonizer came, the gringo came, and they outlawed indigenous burning of the, what do they call them? Controlled burns. And so now we just get these random fires that no one can control because the indigenous people were not allowed to do what their wisdom understood. Because the wisdom of the ancestors is to observe and watch how things happen. That's how Chinese medicine and other ancestral medicines got to this intelligence, these technologies, because of the astute watchfulness that they incorporated into their everyday lives without the distractions of lights, right? Or computers, or all the things we have today, heaters, air conditioners, keeping us disconnected from what we need in the seasons, right? So right now it's cold. I am chilling in my robe. I put the heat on. I'm not wearing socks. I should be wearing socks. I'm souping today. We did soup today, hot teas today. In the summertime, the fruits that come are usually cold in nature so that it keeps you away from damp heat. In the wintertime, we want spices. We want warming spices. Fall time, we have this dryness that comes, so we want different kinds of foods that offer us fluidity. So the harvest things that come, tomatoes have a lot of wonderful juiciness to them that's going to counter the dryness. It's very intuitive. So I want you all to ask yourselves, when the weather patterns change, how do I need to accommodate nature right now to keep myself well and to keep myself healthy? So that's just a little talk I wanted to give y'all today. There's also something someone asked me from last week. I did a talk on physical injuries and the consciousness of physical injuries. So this is just to answer her. Said she dropped her salt lamp on her big toe. So the big toe is the spleen and the liver meridian. Spleen is all about earth, and liver is all about wood or action or anger. So also the big toe, according to reflexology, is referencing the head, and then the right around the big toe, it would be like the neck area. So for this person, also using my intuition, my questions would be like, how stuck in your head were you? Were you being embodied at all? The spleen meridian and the spleen muscle has connection to the, or not the spleen muscle, the spleen organ has connection to the muscle tissues. So if we're not in our body, if we're not working our body, it's going to show up in overthinking. So my intuition says that you're probably overthinking and moving mindlessly. That sounds kind of like a jerk thing to say, but when we are fully embodied in our movement, we don't accidentally throw things or move things, or we understand if we move something where the pieces are going to fall. Also, liver is all about right action. So if we're like backed up in our liver, we're like, I have to do that right now. And then that kind of takes over and mindlessness happens. So that was coming up for that. So whenever I injure myself, I always look, I'll tell you guys, I cut my thumb on a little piece of paper pretty bad. It was like a cardboardy piece of paper. And I was like, and I was doing some banging of herbs for something, and I got a little blood blister right here. These are both on the lung meridian, and the lung is about fall and the lung is about grief. And I've personally been doing a lot of inner child work, and a lot of stuff came up with me and my childhood best friend that we've been working through, which I'm really grateful for. But I've been seeing all kinds of stuff from my past. I've been remembering stuff from my past. I've been realizing the ways I cope by like disassociation from trauma I endured in my childhood. And where I injured myself on both hands was literally on the lung meridian, which is about expressing your loss, expressing your grief, like really reflecting on the places in us that make us sad and how we deflect from doing the deep, dark, sad work. Yeah. So I personally believe that when we get effed up in any kind of way, whether it's our own doing or the doing of others, there's like a higher consciousness, spiritual presence that's trying to teach you something about it. Okay, so I have time for any questions. If anybody has any questions, either about honoring the seasons or injuries, consciousness of injuries. Oops. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, so it's time like in the fires. Let's talk about the fires. Breathing is really hard. Let's talk about that. So maybe steaming. It's hot, but being in a shower with a lot of water, making sure you're drinking a lot of water. That dog. Yappy dogs, man. She was a rescue dog. She lived on my porch. She used to live in the trap house. I love her. She's intense. I never had a dog before. She chose me. All right. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for joining me. Every Wednesday, I will be doing questions. If you guys want to send me questions, eutimia@gmail.com. 1 or 2 sentences, and I can speak generally to that. There's also availability for y'all to get a one-on-one with me if you have any specific questions about your personal stuff, and that's in my bio. I will be dropping my 3rd cohort of my birthing class, now called Giving Life, and new and improved. It has 6 weeks, 6 modules, with an addition of a social justice and birth work module. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and subscribe or join that class. There are scholarships available. Yeah, and if this is helpful to you and you appreciate my work, go ahead and send me some change. My Cash App is Muse Medicina. My PayPal is eutimia@gmail.com. And my Venmo is eutimia-montoya. Any little bit helps. I really appreciate you. Many blessings, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.